Not a click, not a hit, it's a person in a moment. Stages, not pages.
That was great.
Funny entrance.
Hear me? Thank you very much. I think we're going to get started shortly. But thanks so much, everyone who's joined today. We can see we've got quite a few people with us today. A mix of, I think, current customers we work with and then some new faces as well, which is awesome. So welcome to our very first Intent Live. This is our first one of these, so please be kind if we have any technical difficulties. But I'm very excited today to be joined by another member of the Made with Intent team, and then also one of our lovely customers who is going to be, to be honest, doing the majority of the speaking today, because I know that's what you're all interested in. So I'll let Ollie introduce himself quickly in a minute, but just to let you know who I am, my name is Charlie. I'm VP of Strategy and Ops here at Made with Intent. I've been here for 3 years, so have worked a lot across a lot of customers as part of that product, etc. So really excited to be speaking to you all today. And I'm joined by Colin Spooner, who is our Principal Value Consultant, who's also been here for just around 3 years and has worked with a load of customers. So if any of you are on the call, I'm sure you will have crossed paths with Colin during your time here. But thank you very much, Colin, for joining us. But most importantly, thank you, Ollie, for joining us. So we're joined by Ollie Wilson today, Insights Activation Manager from MandM, who are one of our lovely customers. And today, Ollie is going to be talking all through how MandM have been maximizing revenue per user with personalized experiences served with intent. So we're super excited for this. Thank you so much, Ollie, for coming along today. We're really excited to show everyone what you and the wider team at MandM have been doing with intent. So I'm going to hand over to you and let you introduce yourself, and I will take over sharing the screen so we're ready to go.
Thank you, Charlie. That was a very professional intro.
I
Yeah, lovely with you all virtually, guys. Probably met some of you at the tent, hopefully, but yeah, I'm Ollie Wilson, so Insight Activation Manager at MandM. So very fancy title, but essentially what that means is it's my job to really get under the hood of the customer. It's really bring the voice of the customer to the forefront of the business, make sure all of our initiatives are driven by the insight and by the customer, and really start to influence decisions on things like personalization, CRM experience, and general customer strategy based on the insight as well. So I've been working with MandM for 4 years now and working with the guys at Made with Intent for about a year. So some good stuff to talk through today. So yeah, hopefully it'll be really useful for you guys because it's definitely been really useful for MandM and myself.
Amazing. I should say before we get started, Ollie's going to talk through the work they've been doing, and then at the end we will have time for a Q&A. So if you do have any questions throughout, feel free to drop them in the chat. We've got Dan in the background managing that, and we'll get to those hopefully if we have some time at the end. Amazing. Cool. Ollie, shall I kick us off then with the next slide?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Charlie. So one of the first things I'm going to talk to you about, and this is probably the first big initiative that we did with Intent. So as soon as we got Intent, we wanted to get our hands all over it. We're generally quite a forward-thinking team. We're hot on the case with personalization and all the new trends and AI. But we really felt like there was something missing. So we very much personalized based on your standard things like recently viewed categories, brands, affinities, and things like that. But we always felt like there was something missing within our data. And we did lots of work, myself, I did lots of work from an insight perspective on like what the perfect session is or what the perfect customer journey is. But it always came back to this thing of it's not necessarily the specific things a customer does in the journey. It's more so the timing. And Intent really, really helped with this and helped us leverage this in a more efficient way. So we know that email capture is really, really beneficial for a business. So we know that it drives lifetime value in MandM, it drives customer repurchase, it drives order frequency. So we really wanted to get on top of this and actually capture more emails in a much more efficient way. So we actually brought in Intent with this, and we really, really changed how we time our email capture pop-up. So this pops up on the website. We're able to gather consent from here. And obviously these customers are then much better customers. We've got a contact point with them and they generally have better lifetime value. but we were always falling short in the potential of how many of these we can capture. So that brings us on to the first experience with MandM Intent. So before, our email capture was very sort of binary. It was very black and white. It was this linear journey. So a customer would land on site, they would view a PLP, view 2 PVPs, and then they would get hit with the pop-up. Now, this did work. Don't get me wrong. We got capture from this. We got good consent, but we always felt like we were missing something, because sometimes we'd see broken journeys, we'd see customers click off, and we just felt like, although it was working to a sense of gathering the data and getting consent, we always felt like there was something else we could get. So it was all down to this timing thing. So we actually realized that we had a much lower sign up rate and potentially more bounced journeys because of the way it was popping up and the time it was popping up. So we then started to introduce intent with this and play around. So instead of having this very binary, very strict rule base for the pop-up, we actually started to bring in intent with this. So instead, a customer would land on site, they might view a PLP, they might have multiple clicks on somewhere, and actually have these meaningful interactions that we know build intent. So we know the algorithm is showing a higher intent or a customer building intent. So we know there's proxy for this customer to be potentially really good. And this is when we timed it to pop up the consent layer. So this resulted in a much higher sign-up rate. We had better conversion. We didn't see broken journeys. And the quality of customer we got from these was actually beneficial as well, because we were hitting them at that right time, because we knew they were building intent. They were right at the peak of their journey, and we hit them at that great time. Whereas before, we were very much relying on this rule-based system, which potentially wasn't the right time, or it's potentially getting in the way of their important journey. So what did this achieve? So massive success of this. So a 55% increase in sign-up rate, and then an 88% uplift in total emails captured. So not only did we get better sign-up rate, but we actually got a bigger sheer volume of sign-ups as well. And then a 15% VIP resubscription. So VIPs for us are our loyal segment. So to see these actually come back and resubscribe is like a win-win for us, because we know these customers are good customers. We know they unsubscribed for a reason. So to get them back and to know the power of email and consent, it really just supercharged that quality of the customer and the lifetime value. So it just really proved that timing was the leader here, and getting that timing right, the signups would work for themselves, and we'd really see that better volume and better quality.
Ollie, I told you that I was going to come in with a curveball question. So this is the moment. So like delivering the strategy is one thing, but I guess how easy was it to deploy this in reality?
To be honest, it was so easy. And the reason it was so easy is because we already had the web layer set up. So we used Bloomreach, which I know probably a lot of the audience do. So we already had our consent pop up in Bloomreach as a web layer. It was just the trigger we had to change. And with MandM Intent integration being so easy to Bloomreach, we could just feed all of the data into Bloomreach and then use that as the trigger for the pop-up, rather than having those stringent rule bases.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ollie. Cool. And now we're going to go on to show another experience that obviously you guys have been working on. So it's fair to say with this, obviously you guys saw great success, but this was done kind of pre-agentic campaigns, wasn't it? Amazing. Yeah. So for those who don't know, we recently released agentic campaigns about two or 3 months ago now. So previously, when Ollie's team were thinking about how can we surface the email capture at a better time, they're obviously thinking through, okay, we want to surface it when someone builds intent. We want to surface it when they've had built this meaningful interaction, and we know that they're more likely to subscribe. But in that kind of way of working, they had to specify, this was a segment or a selection of segments that we wanted to target with this experience, which worked really well and produced some amazing results for them. But we've actually had some kind of progressions in the product since they joined and since they did that experience, which is what they've now been using for recommendations experience. And that is agentic campaigns. So agentic campaigns, like I said, were released about 2.5 months ago. And what agentic campaigns do, if you aren't familiar with them, is they essentially take all of the guesswork out of that segmentation. So you still control the experiences and the strategy and the goal of what you're trying to achieve. So in that instance, it would be trying to achieve more email signups. But our agent now takes away all of that segmentation kind of thinking required and will actually test hundreds of different variations of segments and even content to understand when is the best time for a specific visitor to fire an email capture or fire a different experience for a customer. So it's identifying when those critical moments are where someone is kind of, we call them kind of moments that matter, where it's the perfect time to personalize to someone, and then we'll surface the experience for them. So this, I know, for those of you who are customers who are on the call, I know lots of people have been using these as well and seeing great success. So Ollie's going to chat through some really exciting stuff that MandM have actually been doing with their recommendations using agentic campaigns.
Thanks, Charlie.
Oh, I've gone backwards. Little first technical issue. Let me go forwards. There we go. Oh,
Perfect. Thank you. So as soon as we heard that Made of Intent were releasing agentic campaigns, this was music to the team's ears because, as I mentioned, we are quite a forward-thinking team. You know, we've got a great personalization team that constantly tests on site and off site. So whether that's recommendations, banners on site, pop-ups, always doing testing. But we really found a gap of to where we were testing and how we could be more efficient. So as Charlie says, agentic campaign really makes you more efficient and takes the guesswork out of all of this. So we were doing a lot of testing on our recommendation strategy, which you can see here. So at any given time, we would test a certain strategy against a control, and that control would be generally something like last viewed or what Bluereach personalization would sort of throw out with their Lumi engine. And, you know, we'd work over, say, a 2-week period of testing, and then we'd have to analyze the results. We'd have to set up a new campaign, do the same thing. And then every single test was yielding different results. So, you know, it might work for one set of customer, it might work on one set of device. And this was really good, but it was just taking a long time to actually work out what's best and which is best for which customer. So Agentic came along and answered all of these problems. So what we were running in the first instance was a recommendations test on our homepage. So we had 5 different strategies, which you can see here. New in, so just anything new to the customer. So last viewed, so these are things that specifically viewed. So Lumi personalized, so this is how the Bluereach recommendations engine will throw out products for them. Most popular, so popular right now. And then the Made of Intent category affinity. So you can see in this case it was shorts. And this was really good because we were able to run all of these 5 strategies parallel, and the algorithm would do its thing. It would then give us the results, and we'd be able to see all of the different segments that it's working for. So not only did we see the strategy that's actually doing the best and creating the best impact, but we'd actually see specific granular details of, okay, so this works best for, say, mobile customers, loyal customers, or new customers. And having this run parallel just saves so much time in testing. And then we can really use this insight to actually figure out which we want to show to what customer. So yeah, there's some really good results off the back of this on first glance. So you can see there, so a 2% increase in revenue per user and 157 unique segment combinations tested. And this was really cool to me because, you know, to look at that number, it would just take so long for us to actually test all of these different combinations. And we definitely would have, don't get me wrong, but we have just done it so much quicker with the agentic campaigns. And we've really found that we can trust the results and to find the right strategy for the right customer, essentially. And then our most recent one we've done, because of the success of the homepage recommendations, we've basically done the same for our PDP. So PDP Rex traffic is where we see the highest volume of traffic. So we get new customers coming in from like Google paid searches and ads and landing straight on the PDP. So reps hold a really, really strong positioning for a new customer. So we again tested 5 strategies against each other. These were similar products, recency. We actually tested against hidden, so no recs, brand affinity, which is driven by major intent as well, and then newness. And again, to combine all of these together and run them parallel was super, super efficient for us. And it actually yielded much better results than the homepage. So a 4% increase in revenue per user with 113 unique segment combinations tested. And just really giving us that confidence and the ability to not only test all of these strategies at the same time, but really get under the hood on the results and look at all of the different segments, which is the data nerdiness coming out of me.
Amazing. Thanks, Ollie. What's really interesting there is that you guys also had that kind of no recommendations variant as well. How did you find kind of that was for in terms of allocating that to some customers?
It's really interesting actually, because we just would assume that it potentially wouldn't work that well, but to a certain subset of customers, it actually does. And this subset of customers are your very sort of loyal customers, the ones that are on site a lot, the ones that know the site. They know what they want. They don't want any interference in their journey. So to remove that is actually beneficial. Whereas sometimes we can find with recommendations, it can be like a bit of a loop for a customer. So a customer could land on a PDP, click on a rec, then on another rec, and almost get stuck on this PDP loop. Whereas ideally, we want customers to branch out to bigger breadths of pages and products. So again, timing it rightly and picking the right strategy for the customer is really going to help with that as well.
Yeah, I think it's almost quite refreshing to remove something from the website as opposed to always adding things. So that's a nice touch. I'd definitely be in that segment.
Yeah, but it's also just a really nice kind of showcase of actually what we found with agentic campaigns as well, is that actually it's not always about, because typically you're testing having something versus not having something, or having something in a different way. But actually what we've found, with nearly all of the strategies and experiences that customers are doing, is that sometimes for your customers, it's actually giving them nothing at all. You're not distracting them, letting them go through the website because they already are kind of quite certain about the purchase that they want to make, and anything else is almost distracting them on that journey. So it's been a really interesting learning for us as well in all of these agentic campaigns. Amazing. I think Colin is actually going to show you, showcase now, obviously what that looks like a little bit in the platform. So what Ollie's spoken through there is obviously, with these agentic campaigns, you're testing multiple different types of content, and then the agent is working out all of these different segment variation combinations to test them against. But in terms of what that looks like in the product, Colin will give us a little view, because it is really interesting how you can see kind of what variation works for which users and how how content is being allocated across.
Cool, thank you. This is where it might get a little bit turbulent going into the platform on a live demo.
Yeah, doing a live platform.
It's risky at the best of times, but it's our first one, so I can get away with it. So this is like part of our agentic reporting, just like a slice of the PDP recommendations report. And I think this is one of the visualizations that really resonates with customers. And this is effectively the allocations of the decision that the agent is making. So you can see here the different options that kind of Ollie took you through, from new in to similar items to hiding the reps completely. And you can see how it changes over time as the agent makes those decisions. So if I go to like the latest day, you can see, for instance, that for 14% of users, the right experience to give them is hiding the PDP recs completely. Whereas for 30% of customers, showing the new in container is the best thing to drive that revenue per user. And it's always driven towards that commercial goal. So this will change, I guess, across time as seasonality kind of plays a part as well. But yeah, this is where there's kind of no winners or losers anymore. It just is the best experience to give that visitor at the right time. So hopefully that brings it to life a little bit within the platform. I'll now show you how easy it is to, I guess, create a agentic campaign. So again, risky, but we're going to go for it. So there's 3 steps that you need to do to create an agentic strategy. And for those that already work with Made with Intent, this should be a nice little refresher. You might be able to do it in the future rather than me. First thing you do is select a strategy. So these are the kind of windows of opportunity where we see those moments that matter, and we kind of wrap them into e-com strategies just to make it easier for you guys to understand. But You've got things like basket abandonment, where they're ready to purchase, but showing predicted signs of abandonment. You've got welcome visit strategy, is like what's the best experience to welcome customers onto your site. Returning visit, browse abandonment, how do you best optimize your PDP? So quite big, meaty strategies that you can start off with. But for the sake of this, I'll just select the basket abandonment strategy, because that's always a popular one with customers. And then the second step is the goal that you want the agent to maximize performance towards. And we have a whole host of goals in here, from your standard kind of like e-com metrics like revenue per user and conversion rate, to whether you want a customer to build an affinity or multiple affinities across categories, whether they interact and engage with the site for a longer period of time, funnel metrics, where if it's about reaching PDP, PLP, checkout, and our own, of course, intent metrics as well. So anything from pushing people to reach a high intent state where they're ready to purchase, or just increasing purchase confidence in the moment. But yeah, once you select that goal, that is the goal that the agent will optimize towards. You do have a selection of kind of customizable options to give more guardrails and prompt the agent itself, but I kind of won't touch on those today. The third step, which is, I guess, the crucial one, is adding the experiences, the tactics, the levers that you want to present to customers or not present to customers within this window of opportunity. And we say that, add up to 5 experiences. But you effectively can say, like, you want to give, a 5% discount for those that are price sensitive in that window. You could give a reassurance message to those that need, a little bit more confidence in their purchase. You could talk about free returns as an option to show some customers. It could be finance, which is obviously a big popular one on site. And then that do nothing as well, just to kind of de-risk the whole campaign, but also it's nice just to be able to let the agent decide if doing nothing is the best thing to do. So once you have like your tactics, and these can be tactics that were already on your site, we do have a mixture of new ones that you can add in as well. All you do is edit the experience, and then you add the content that you want to present. We already give you a whole library of templates. So this is a mixture of overlay and in-page, depending on what kind of design that you want. And you can easily configure any of these within here. So you can change it to your own brand guidelines, adjust the colors, text, whatever you want. You could build it from scratch if you've got coding knowledge, or use Claude in the background to code, or vibe code as they call it these days, if you want to go a bit more custom. And you can also use third-party triggers as well. So this is what the Ollie and the team at MandM did through Bloomreach. You can see we've got a mixture of different kind of third-party triggers in here. For those that we don't have, you can use the custom JavaScript option. But if I just click on Bloomreach, for instance, you can bring in, the web layer ID, and then we just take over the triggering of that experience. And it is as easy as that. Once you have the experience that you want to deliver, the agent will then decide which is the best experience to show to each individual at the right time in that window of opportunity, towards that commercial goal that you've set up front. So should take 5 to 10 minutes. I think some customers are probably doing it under 5 minutes now, depending on the experience that you're going to give the customer. But yeah, the idea of this is that it is effortless, but high impact.
And I think what's really interesting in the kind of scenario you've given there, Co, is like for basket abandonment, customers are actually saying it's not necessarily just surfacing the same content, kind of different variations of the same content. It's actually thinking about what are all the kind of the 5 top levers functionality I have that I think could help a customer in this situation, and testing them all together. So having the discount, having the reassurance message. So there's kind of 2 ways you can really approach agentic campaigns. Obviously, the MandM team is testing more of that strategy-based stuff with recommendations, but then there's also, how do we find what of one of these tactics works the best? And we're seeing some great results from that as well with some other customers.
Perfect. I'll stop sharing my screen. I won't tempt fate anymore.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Anything else from you, Ollie, before we hand over to the Q&A?
I guess so. Next steps for us in agentic campaigns. So the team are working in the background on, so from the success of what we're seeing with the reps, we are actually trying to do some placement tests with agentic campaigns. So we found a placement that works really well on site, and we're basically going to test different messages on this. So we're going to test messaging around, say, buy now, pay later, our delivery proposition, download our app, And all of these are really key sort of business KPIs that we want to drive, but it's all very customer dependent. So hopefully this is going to do the work for us. And given the customer segment on site, it's going to change dependent on what type of customer there are, and hopefully you're going to get better uptake of that certain metric. So whether that's app downloads or orders or a limited proposition delivery, it's going to hit them at that right time, and hopefully that's going to be really useful as well.
Amazing. We can't wait to see what happens with that and the results.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Cool. I'm smiling because there's a really good question for Ollie to answer in the chat from Paul, if you haven't seen it already, from the email capture. There you go. Dan's in the background doing his magic. But yeah, we probably didn't touch on the content side as much, Ollie, so I don't know if you want to cover the different options that you presented.
Yes, so very good question, Paul. And we have actually had a second iteration where we've included this. So we nailed the timing, great. So you saw that we got a better uptake in signups. So now we're actually including things like, for instance, the brand the customer might have recently viewed, and changing the background image of that pop-up to that brand. And that's actually, yielded better results even more so. So we definitely can pair those two things together. But so timing was the most important thing, but that second iteration of sort of personalized with the brand or the category is definitely helpful as well.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the First Intent Live. Thank you so much again to Ollie for being our first customer on this as well. We really appreciate it, and we love working with you and the wider team, and seeing what you're achieving. Dan is literally just putting me out now with me. Like
the lights will start dimming.
Actors when they get forced off stage. But thank you so much, everyone. Let us know if you've got any other questions, and hopefully see you on our next one.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Bye.